What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Hope everybody's having an excellent weekend. If you live in New Jersey, you need a boat because it is raining endlessly, which is completely miserable. But the Aaron Rodgers trade is done and the NFL draft is done, and now we've got to share our thoughts on it. So, you know what's funny? The NFL draft is always so interesting to me from a fan perspective because you have all the endless mock drafts building up to it, which have like what, an 8 or 10% accuracy rate. And the minute the draft is over, there's draft grades. You got to give a grade to the draft. Meanwhile, you really have no idea who their player is, how they fit in the system, how they're going to be coached, will they stay healthy and everything else. It's just so wild. I mean, it's good for clicks and retweets and everything else and articles, but the reactions are wild, man. So you look at the Jets draft, and I think it's interesting when you have a year like last year where you have 3 stud players in Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Sauce Gardner. You're never going to replicate that. So the expectations were high going into the draft. But I think some fans are kind of left like, hey, man, I don't think we got the same impact as last year. Time will tell. I mean, the Jets are kind of a loaded team right now where you have a lot of guys that are already starters. So you're not really going to draft people that are going to supplant them right away unless you have a top 5 pick. So, well, sorry, I guess I'm not a draft expert. I'm probably going to ramble. I'm just going to share some thoughts as a fan on this draft class. Will McDonald, when they drafted him, I was surprised, but I realized that the Jets, all the offensive tackles were gone. The top ones were gone. They were kind of stuck in no man's land. I'm guessing they probably tried to trade back. They couldn't. They took the best player available. And what the draft is, you want to get guys that can contribute now with an eye towards the future as well, which everybody's been saying. You know, Carl Lawson and Bryce Huff could both be gone next year. You have Jermaine Johnson, but you want somebody to be his tag team partner going forward. So McDonald he's a freak athlete, man. Great, explosive, a little bit light, wants to get to 250. But, I mean, in situations like this, you got to trust in Robert Saleh and his staff about what they need for their defense and the impact these guys can have. So some people want Nolan Smith. Some people said this kid's a reach. He should have been late first round. Well, if he should have been 20 instead of 15, who cares? Get the guy that you want. So, I mean, I saw all the reactions. Listen, for decades, the Jets didn't have any pass rushers. If they have too many, you can never have too many, especially when you see how injuries happen fast and furious in the NFL. Second pick, Joe Tippmann was, I've been wanting a center for the Jets for a decade. The team has been spoiled with Kevin Mawae. They've been spoiled with Mangold. Now, you can argue back and forth whether you want JMS or Tippmann. Listen, I'm not an expert. I could never tell you who to want. Again, I will defer to Hackett and what he needs in his scheme. Kid 6'6", very smart, great communicator, great leader. That seems to be the benchmark with all like the Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh players. They love the game of football. They live the game of football. They're smart, they're intelligent, and they're team players. Tippmann meets all of that. He's also versatile, too. He can play guard. I mean, I know that some analysts have him slotted as a guard. All the Jets' offensive linemen are versatile, which is good. So it fits a need where the Jets need depth on the offensive line, desperately. We all want a top-level tackle. You didn't get it. You keep adding pieces to the puzzle. Tippmann is exactly that. And I think he's going to play this year, which is not a bad thing, man. At the end of the day, you'd like to get a core of 5 younger guys that can play together for 4 or 5 or 6 years. That continuity helps you win football games and protect your quarterback. The next guy, Carter Warren out of Pittsburgh, offensive tackle, local guy. Listen, man, like, with situations like this, if he's somewhat of a project or he's a work in progress, that's fine, because a guy like this can learn from Dwayne Brown. He can be like he mentored and developed, and he doesn't have to play day one. Especially for everybody that's supporting Mekhi Becton. If you have Mekhi Becton and a healthy Dwayne Brown, they can start for now, and this kid can sit back and learn. And if he has to play by week 6, he plays by week 6. It's not the end of the world. Like, not every draft pick has to play day one. If he mold him this year, make sure he fits your system, make sure he can figure everything out, and then he goes, I'd rather that than him playing and get Aaron Rodgers killed. The next guy, the running back, Pittsburgh, Izzy. I'm not going to say his last name because I'm going to butcher it, even though I studied it like 5 times. The Jets, when Ty Johnson was gone, you look at a running back room with Breece Hall. Obviously, we know who he is. Michael Carter. Zonovan Knight, I like a lot. The Jets wanted a home run threat at running back because once Breece Hall was hurt, they lost that. And that's no disrespect to anybody else. This kid flies, man. And in the NFL, with this Hackett offense, if they're going to worry about Aaron Rodgers and the receivers, you can get the kid the ball out of the backfield or just cut holes, and he's gone. That's the NFL, man. Speed kills. You want explosive, dynamic playmakers For years, the Jets didn't have that. If you have two guys, you get to worry about Breece and Izzy, fine. I continue to think that Breece Hall, if he is ready for week 1, he's going to be on a pitch count, man. Like, I don't rush him back. I'm not worried about him dominating week 1. I want him dominating at the end of the season, making the playoffs and doing great in the playoffs. So if you have another versatile, explosive guy there, the more the merrier, man. Like, you can't have enough talent. You can't say we have too much talent at one position, because you're an injury or two away from having no talent, and you're searching the street for guys. The next guy, Zaire Barnes, linebacker. I've been wanting a linebacker. I mean, the Jets need sideline-to-sideline speed at linebacker. They need a guy that can cover running backs. They need a guy that can cover tight ends. Just run around, make plays. I know the Jets are hired on Nasruddin and Sherwood, but this is another guy you add to the mix. Whether he's a good fit or not, whether he's a reach or not, I have no idea. Like, I know that there's always this analyst that always come out with the Jets. That was an undrafted guy that got drafted by the Jets. Who knows, man? If the Jets say, you know what, I don't want to take a chance for this kid to be undrafted, I want to take him now, go for it. I'd rather lose the guys I want than worry the guys I can't get. So the Jets did that. Obviously, they need a safety. They got Bernard Converse, a very versatile player, another corner. You know, the Jets like to do, Saleh likes to do all those things with his safeties. You play 3 safeties, you play the dime. Again, you want versatile playmakers. You got that. And then you have the tight end at the end, Zach Kuntz. I don't want to say his name and screw it up and get banned by YouTube or whatever. But again, an athletic freak that you add to the tight end group. And again, if that's a kid that you're going to mold and he doesn't play a lot this year and you use him next year, you line him up as a wide receiver at times, try to take advantage of mismatches. There's a whole different ways you can use these players. And to say after one day, these guys are bust, it's not going to work, the Jets had a terrible draft, you got to let it all play out. So, like I said, I keep telling you this, I'm an old fan. I've been through some drafts where, you know, the Idzik 9 or whatever it was, where you draft them and people were selling me on, you know, Jalen Saunders and Shaq Thompson or whoever the hell that guy was, and, you know, all these different players. You had the Ardarius Stewarts, the Chad Hansons, all these different names. Or even, like, let's be honest, Denzel Mims. Like, every time there's these reactions, we got the best player in the draft, this is the sleeper of the draft, we have all these things, and most of the time we're wrong. So I'm not going to sit here and roast anybody. I'm not going to sit here and praise anybody. I understand the Jets are trying to do. I also understand there's undrafted free agents, which Joe Douglas always does very well with. There's also other moves that can be made in free agency. Look at the moves that were made after the draft last year, even going into training camp where he picked up players. So to me, I still want to see a defensive tackle. I think the Jets are going to make a move there. You need a run-stopping defensive tackle. I think they're going to, I think they're going to go after Quan Alexander still. I think he's definitely in need. You see him he's tweeting back and forth with his teammates. So I think there's something there as well. In terms of wide receiver help, I wouldn't be surprised if Randall Cobb is signed. I think the Jets, they have money. They're going to make other moves, but we're in late April. Like, there's still plenty of time. There's so much time between now and training camp. And Joe Douglas is always working things. Now that Aaron Rodgers is around, another thing, how cool is it to see Aaron Rodgers at the game with Breece Hall and Lazard, embracing New York and just hanging out? He's tweeting with it. It's just, like, so surreal to see Rodgers, like, just as a Jet. But a lot of things still remain to be a lot of things will still happen now that Aaron Rodgers is in the mix. He's practicing. I'm sure word's getting all across the NFL how he's assimilating. And now the players that are out there in free agency that are still remaining are going to be interested. Comes down to money and opportunity. I think the Jets will offer that to both for the right guy. So share your thoughts on this video, on this draft class. And that's it. And I know I rambled. I'm not a draft guy. I'm just sharing thoughts. Have a good day.